All right, so this is officially live. So if you're watching this after the fact, the reason I did a YouTube live stream is one, because I'm a full-time YouTuber now, and it feels like something that I need to do. But also, I want to experiment with it a little bit more. So there is a theme to this. While I do want to answer people's community questions and answer just and just have the first experience on here, I also want to talk about certain subjects. So for this one, when in doubt, I'm going to start talking about my theories on cosmology. Oh yeah, you guys are already starting to pile in, and I love it. Oh my gosh, there's so many people already. Oh, I was not prepared. Oh, my tea isn't even steeped properly yet. Oh, okay, 1 second. I gotta pull up this. Oh no. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, so many people so quickly. Oh no. Oh, hello everyone. It's so good to see everyone. Oh man. So yeah, just for mostly I'm recording this first bit just for people that are watching it after the fact. I do want to talk about like outer space within the gods. It's one of my favorite things to talk about within the community. Like if I have people over at my house and we share a drink, I really like to talk about like what are people's like larger theories on the gods and where they come from. So I'll say, let's see, what time are we at right now? 1 minute 30. So I'll say at 10 minutes, and that way you can skip ahead to 10 minutes. I'm going to start talking about like the cosmology, my ideas behind it, and I want to hear your ideas. So if you're watching this after the fact, go to the 10-minute mark and I'll start talking about that. Other than that, I'm just going to talk to everyone that is just now pouring in here. So very excited to see everyone. Normally live streams are Patreon exclusive, and they will probably stay that way for the most part. YouTube will be very rare, but I definitely want to give everyone this experience. Spirits with superpowers. And good evening. I'm doing wonderful. Being a full-time YouTuber is a job that is, I mean, it's one of the weirdest things I could have ever imagined. And so I'm really enjoying the workflow, honestly. And yeah, I feel like I'm just going to sit here and say scald everybody because it's just so nice to see everyone. And there's already 28 people in here. So it's really nice. It's just a never-ending stream of people talking. Greetings to everyone. So if you're just hopping in, I don't see... Okay, that's an interesting question. Is it okay for women to wear the Valk nut? I don't see why it wouldn't be. I don't know. Is there a source saying it's not? I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean, it's just... The origin of the Valk nut is a little odd. And so we don't... It's really old, we know that. It's one of our oldest things we have. Slain Warrior's Nut. I mean, women can fight too and die, so like, why not? But I forget the name of it, but isn't it also considered like the heart of something? I forget the name. But yeah, I don't see any reason why a woman wouldn't be allowed to have the Valk nut. Yeah, scald everyone. Oh man, it's going to be hard to keep track of all this. Okay. So just a heads up, we're going to move to the cosmology stuff at the 10-minute mark. That way it stays organized for everyone. So if anyone has any random questions, this is your time up to the 10-minute mark before we start diving deeper into the cosmology part. That way I can just get like used to all these people in here. So do I pray to the Vanir? I actually just started doing that. So I was pretty much an Aesir guy or Aesir guy, pretty exclusively, especially Odin. And I started branching my way out. I've always connected to spirits and Landvatir, but never directly to the Vanir. So I've actually been trying to get closer to Frey lately. And actually, my video coming up Wednesday is an offering to the spirits. And that's kind of my first deep dive into connecting to nature a little bit more. And I actually did do a full Vanir offering not too long ago. Oh, man. Okay, so pray to the Vanir. Ooh, I'm going to get lost so fast. My Norse Pagan Journey, it's good to see you. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out, my Norse Pagan Journey has YouTube videos now. So please check them out. What are your personal reasonings for celebrating Ostara being a Saxon holiday rather than a Norse? So this comes up quite a bit. So one of the, if you haven't picked it up already, Myths and Symbols in Pagan Europe is a wonderful book. And it connects all the dots between Celtic, Germanic, and Norse societies, and draws them all together. And it's like, look, they have the similar roots. They all came from the same kind of ideas. And so a lot of the holidays, gods, and all that stuff is very connected. And I've talked to so many people in various circles, and it seems like Ostara, or the spring equinox, is a very universally worshipped, thing. I know there's also the charming of the plow in February, but to me, I've never been attached to that. I guess I could charm my cameras or something, but the fact that most of us don't farm anymore, it just doesn't feel like an appropriate holiday. Also depends if you do the lunar or the solar calendar. Yes, the lunar calendar is technically correct, and that's what Vikings would have used, but we are in the modern age. Everyone uses the solar calendar, so the spring equinox makes more sense. Hope that answers the question. It's just one of those things. I feel like a lot of people get a little uppity on the holidays when I don't really feel like we need to. We just need to get together and worship the gods. All right, so I have a question for you. Exactly would you tell your family if they were... Hey, brother, I have a question for you. Exactly... Okay. Basically, if I have a very religious family, what would I do? I mean, obviously, I haven't told my mother yet. She's literally the only person that doesn't know. And it's one of those things, if I feel like it brings harm to them to know, because, quite frankly, their ignorance in a way. My mom does not accept other religions, and it sucks, and I wish she didn't think that way, but at the end of the day, she's still my mom, and I love her. So I guess it all depends on person to person, relationship. I've touched on it a few times in this channel, especially I think in Advice for Young Norse Pagans, is how to deal with Christian family. I don't think, if you care for your family, keep caring for them. But, if you have a bad home life, it's hard to say what you should actually do. All right, let's see. Also, it's so good to see everyone. Oh my gosh, there's 61 people in here. Oh, I was not prepared. Oh, it's amazing to talk to everyone. Would I still be considered a heathen even if I believed in more than the Norse gods? So, technically, the realm of technicality, if you're a heathen, you believe in the Germanic and Norse gods. If you look up heathen, that's basically what it is. And that's why, again, I kind of say Norse pagan, because I've helped people that believe in the Celtic gods. I've helped people that believe in the Morrigan, and I've helped people that believe in, I don't know, that's probably the best reference I have. But yeah, the Celtic gods and stuff like that. I mean, we're all part of the same pagan, family. I think there is a group within this community that thinks that the Norse gods are the only gods that exist, and I don't think that's true. I think, we don't really have the right to say that. Okay, it's so easy to get lost in the stream. But yeah, so you can worship, other gods. Make sure it's very clear why you're doing it. I know people that mix pantheons quite a bit. I'm not really big into it. I'm pretty much exclusively a Norse guy, but some people have success in worshiping Egyptian, Norse, and Celtic gods and all that stuff. I don't really have those answers, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing as long as you feel the gods are okay with it. Let's see. A bunch of words I can't read. Oh yeah, there's a podcast. So if you didn't see that, thank you, Damian Lindsay, for listening to the podcast. Started a podcast today, so I didn't expect it to go go this quick, actually, because I know a lot of people wanted me to start a podcast. It's been asked ever since I started a YouTube, and of course, going full-time YouTuber, I was like, oh, it's time to start a podcast. And as soon as I said something, people that I know pretty close in the community were like, hey, we were going to start a podcast anyways. Why don't you hop aboard? And so we kind of all came together and we created the Folk Podcast. And so it's just going to be about interviewing people in the community, not just influencers or anything like that, just normal everyday people, and recording their stories. So we have one episode out. It's only on Podbean right now. We have submitted it to Apple Podcast and Spotify and Google, but those have to be approved. So it's on Podbean right now. It should be in my... I'll start putting it in my description, but it should be on my Instagram too. I should have a link tree on there. But yeah, there's a podcast now, and I think it went pretty well for the first episode. If you're interested in being on the show, it's thefolkpodcast@gmail.com. And then it is... if you want to be on the show, email there. And if you have any questions you want us to discuss in a more round table, they're on there as well. So here soon, we'll go ahead and start moving into like the cosmology stuff. Let me see if I can get a couple more questions here. Some good old paragraphs coming in here. Okay, so I think the planets and sun are the realms, and the world tree is the solar system, and the rainbow bridge as was a way to travel in between the planets. What do you think about this theory? So let me just say, so we're at the 10-minute mark, so I'm just going to go ahead and start talking a little bit about my thoughts on it. Now, one thing to note, this is not written down anywhere. I didn't get this from a book. It's not in the secret chapter of the Poetic Edda. These are simply my theories on what the greater picture of all things are. And the thing that I think is really interesting about this is the fact about all of Norse mythos is if you take Christianity and you combine it with science, you get nothing. Like, it does not make sense. But when you take Norse mythology and you combine it with science, it starts making a lot of sense. And one of the things I've been getting a little bit more attached to is the idea of the 9 realms and what those are. And so kind of what Chunk Old Ron was saying, I think the 9 realms, I mean, there's 9 celestial bodies in our solar system. One of them being the primordial world of fire, which is the sun. So, that easily fits into Muspelheim. And honestly, you have here with Midgard. And then maybe Mars is Jotunheim. So I think it fits really well that the realms are just the 9 celestial bodies. But then that begs the question of like, well, are the gods only solar system, based? Are they only in the solar system? Are they galactic? Are they universal? Like, how are the gods? And then you have like the Vanir more tied to the earth and more tied to what we are here. So maybe those gods exist here. And then, where do the Aesir are? Is Asgard Jupiter? Is Asgard Saturn? I don't know, So yeah, let's hear your guys' theories. Let me scroll up here. But yeah, no, Bifrost is definitely just wormholes. I mean, it's pretty clear. If Marvel got one thing right when they made the Thor movies, it was the fact that the Bifrost was basically a wormhole. 100% agree with that. I like to think that the world and the planes and the world tree are just other dimensions. That's another thing I hear a lot is people think that the 9 realms are just 9 dimensions. And I think it isn't like listed somewhere that there are 9 dimensions or something like that, or 9 realms. That that was something I picked up when I was into Buddhism, because you have the multiple layers of like divinity in a way. You have us, and then you have like demigods and gods, and then below those, so there's multiple realms and stuff. Oh my. Oh, there's 73 of you in here. Skull to everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone is well. I'm glad I'm doing this though. It's good to talk to everyone. Let's see. What's up, Robin? I see you, man. Okay, so, I saw you, Windekind. My brother literally said dinosaurs existed with humans, so the whole, like, dinosaur thing. Someone was like, so what do you think about dinosaurs in connection with, like, Norse mythos? And I have no idea. I really don't know how they fit in, but it's not like they don't fit in, because they existed in a time before us. And I think evolution can still be, take a part within Norse mythology. We don't really know the time frame in which everything was done. We just know Odin, Vili, and Ve created Midgard from the flesh, the body of Ymir, and then that they eventually turned, bark and, breathed the life into it and made, humankind. So it's hard to say how long life existed here. And I don't think it's discounted by Norse mythos, or I don't think dinosaurs are really like supported. I don't know, but also like the idea of like monsters and stuff like that. Like dinosaurs are kind of just giant monsters. So, let's see here. 9 celestial realms equate to 9 space cosmoses. Yeah. So, oh man, I wish I could read everyone's comment. This is crazy. It says the email address is invalid. I wonder if, oh yeah, here we go. I can say something. There we go. So that should be the email. I've been getting emails, so it should work. But that is the email for the Folk Podcast if you want to ask questions that we can discuss on a greater level, or if you want to be a guest on it. Quick aside for that, if for the guest, we're probably going to give you a choice maybe to start, or if you want to be on the full episode where you're kind of just like a co-host, or if you just want to come in at the end and kind of talk about your journey as well. But if you want to be part of the full thing, we'd love to have you. At least until we realize that's a horrible idea and we stop doing that. But then take advantage of it while we're doing it. Yeah, it's so good to see everyone here. Everyone's saying hi. I wish I could say hi to every one of you. You know, it's so great to talk to everyone on this level. And thank you everyone for who watches these videos, especially since, you know, this is my life now, and I couldn't be happier to be part of this community and, you know, making videos. Yeah, so ooh, this is nice. Oh, yes, I just got an email, so that's good. Maybe it was one of you. I love the painting. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, I actually did paint this. So back when I was in art school, I was a painter. And so this is actually one of the better paintings I ever made. I love this painting. Great. I'll read that here in a bit. I do have a lot of, I have the three co-hosts on there with me on that email as well. So it might not necessarily be me responding to you, but it's one of those things that, hey, I'm running with people. I'm gonna make sure we do this together. I'm pretty sure there was a huge time gap before Odin, Vili, and Ve created humans. Yeah, I think so too. That would make sense. Jotunheim is a small, cold planet with weak gravity, allowing the Jotuns to grow to a giant size. Nidavellir is a planet rich in ore with strong gravity, which resulted in the dwarfs being, well, short. Yeah. So one thing about, like, Nidavellir, you know, I think that could be Mercury, because if it has, like, it would make sense that they would exist below the surface, because part of Mercury is always just boiling hot, and the other part of it's always ice cold because it barely has atmosphere. So it would make sense for the dwarves to live under Mercury. Just saying. Dinosaurs could have been Jotun themselves, potentially. I can see that. Let's see. Yeah, it is a dope painting. It's not for sale. I love it. It's one of the only paintings I still have left. My whole family are atheists. My sister really makes fun of the thought of gods, as do my parents. So I don't know what to do, if I should tell them. So atheist parents are not necessarily something that I have experience with, you know, talking to atheists about this. I think the thing that sells what we are the most is our experiences. When we sit down with people, and if they're actually interested in knowing, and we're like, hey, we had this experience with Odin, or had this experience with, you know, Frigg or Freya, you know, this is how it made me feel. This is what it did for me. You know, how can they, you know, say, oh, well, that's not real? You know, it's like we're actually having experiences with our gods. And so I think that is our greatest ammunition in a way, because we don't have necessarily a Bible. You know, that's something Christianity uses a lot, is the Bible. We don't really have that, but we have our experiences. Just got another email, so that's awesome. Yeah, no, this is great. So one of the other things about, like, space that's kind of wild to me. Now, this is way out into, like, the woo-woo shit. So be prepared. This is something I'm just playing with, not necessarily fully in. So what are the gods in space? Because obviously we experience the gods on a very personal level. You know, I do not, you know, when I feel Odin, it's like, oh, I feel Odin. And sometimes, you know, I'll be out here giving an offering out in the back of my house, and it's like I feel him watching me. But what are the gods in the greater aspect of space? You know, what if the gods themselves are like nebulas? You know, like way out in this deep space, the gods themselves are these, like, I mean, nebulas are just gigantic balls of matter and energy. So why can't those be the gods? And then they have a way to reach out this far. I mean, we have gravitational pulls from the moon, from the sun. We can, you know, planets have noises that we can actually, like, we can't actually hear, but they do produce vibrations and sound waves and have energy that come off of them. So why can't we tap into those energies? So, you know, maybe the gods are these deep space beings that we really don't understand. And again, that's what makes it exciting to me. As he was great. I'll read that email. So yeah, you have a great night, but I'll definitely check out that email. Do you think that Vili and Ve went with the Vanir after the war? Vili and Ve are weird because we basically know nothing about Vili and Ve besides that they were Odin's brothers. And so I don't really have a theory on them, and there's really nothing to go off of. So perhaps they went with the Vanir after the war, or perhaps they went somewhere else. Again, this may be, is it a galactic scale? Is it a solar system scale? You know, maybe they, you know, went to a totally different galaxy. It's hard to say. You know, I just wish there was more on Vili and Ve to actually see anything about. I think there's some people that have done studies into, like, their names and what they mean and what like that could mean, but I don't really get into that. I think if we're studying like the structure of the word, I think we're really grasping at straws. If that's our only thing to grasp at. I see the gods as personifications of different parts of nature. I think that's very true. Like obviously with Thor, you know, perhaps Thor isn't even like out there in space. We feel storms and we feel Thor. We look, get to oak trees, we feel Thor. With the folk, we feel Thor. So I don't know. It's really hard. Like I said, it's a crazy theory. Maybe all gods are different. Maybe Odin's a nebula. Odin's storms. I'm not sure. But also there's storms on Jupiter. So chaos magic theory. Don't know what that is. I would like to learn more, even though chaos and magic scare me. I had the call from Thor, then Odin must have been pushed me to learn. It was one of your videos on my YouTube. Oh, yeah. Wonderful. In the podcast today, we talked about the relationship between Odin and Thor. Really, it was a really good talk. I remember hearing that Norse people believed in northern lights were the Valkyries coming to collect the slain to take them back to Valhalla. I haven't heard that. The only thing I've heard is that the northern lights, and this again might not even be Norse, but it's the only mythos I know behind northern lights, and that's that they're like elk spirits or animal spirits dancing in the sky. Again, that could be Native American, that could be Siberian. I can't remember. But it's the only mythos I know behind the northern lights. But for real though, like if you're like a Norse person back 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and you're out in the cold looking at the northern lights, how could you not feel the gods? I mean, crazy. Even with modern science, how could you not really feel them? Oh wow, 84 people in here. You're bleaching your hair while you listen? I'm honored. Let's see. Okay, so just to again address everyone that's coming in here and thanking me for my videos and stuff. Thank you, truly. I am so honored to be able to help this community, especially since it was only a year ago that I was looking for help myself, and the fact that this has grown up so much into this, I'm truly honored to be a part of this community and be able to help people. I'm just the guy in his PJs drinking out of a Batman cup, so I'm glad I can help. And Hiking Viking, I saw you sneak in here. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here, my friend. Can't wait till I can actually travel abroad and we can take cool pictures of mountains. Let's see here. They actually are personifications of nature, both within and around us. That's why we have human personality. They have human personalities and therefore more familiar with us. Yeah, and again, I'm not discounting that they're part of nature at all. It's just, is the cosmos not an extension of nature, man? It's just like bigger nature. But yeah, no, I experience the gods, and I think the same way a lot of people do, and that's through nature. We'll never discount that. But there's definitely something to space. There's something going on up there. The gods been really speaking to me lately. I think it might be the season getting ready to change. Yeah, there's definitely been some stuff going on because we've been talking about it in the Patreon Discord, and it's like every now and then we all just wake up like, whoa, that was a weird night, right? Like there's some weird stuff going on tonight, right? And everyone was kind of like, yeah, this is weird. So we definitely seem to have combined religious experiences and feeling that magic around us. Do you ever plan on going to Washington State to hold a gathering? So West Coast, we're still trying to flush out a little bit. West Coast, we have a few people out there, but obviously not being out in the West Coast, it's harder for me to get connected with people. I obviously know there's a lot of people on this channel that are from the West Coast. And so that's one of those things that I hope I can help out. But, at the end of the day, I hope someone takes up the torch and starts doing it themselves out in the West Coast and starts gathering people, and following the model that we've left behind. Because there's certain projects coming up that will take a lot of my attentions. Anyways, moving on. From what I understand, I may be wrong, the Northern Lights are seen as Odin and the Wild Hunt racing across the sky. That sounds like a good thing. That I believe that. The Wild Hunt's wild. I love reading stories about the Wild Hunt because it's like everyone's talking about Happy Christmas, and then you have Yule and the Wild Hunt, and it's like, oh yeah, don't go out at night. Like Odin will drag you away. Love it. Hey Bo, why are you here? Are you still watching, Bo? Go back to work. Have you ever considered moving here to Scandinavia? So that's one thing that's kind of interesting is that it went in layers. For a time, I did want to go to Scandinavia and stay there, and and try to move out there or move to Iceland. And as I started the Wisdom of Odin and kind of moved on with this, that's actually when I decided that I didn't want to move out to Scandinavia because I realized my purpose is here, that I can make a difference here, and and actually bring something to America, and like just bring the folk together. I might not be able to do that with as much success in Scandinavia. I probably would just become a hermit and live in the mountains, and I don't think that's what the gods want for me. So I think I need to stay here in North America for a time longer and see what I can do. Working to bring together people in Florida. Yeah, so if anyone's here in Florida, it looks like the Raven's Eye is looking to get some people together there. I think I might know one in Florida. If I haven't gotten, I think we've talked on we've talked on Instagram before, and try to spread it out. Florida's a weird place. I know the WWE person that's like a Viking or into paganism. I think they're literally the Viking Raiders, and they run like the Swamp Vikings. I think they're in Florida. That's random, but I think that's what's happening. Hey homies, woo woo. I'm just gonna start reading these strange voices now. Wow, there's 98 people in here just watching me. Whatever I do, whatever I say, don't share the secrets, Jacob. Should I learn Old Norse to pray in? So that's an interesting question. Maybe. People have asked me if I would learn Old Norse just casually, like Jackson Crawford knows it. I don't think so. I think that's a lot of work for a dead language. But spiritually, I think it is kind of important, especially like Dea Frey, Dea Frende. Learning those iconic, have them all lines, I think is a really cool thing to have. And I definitely like, I believe it's Helvegen by Wardruna is an old Norse, if I'm not mistaken. And knowing that song for a funeral song, not that I want anyone in this community to die, but knowing those lyrics to be able to sing to people upon their death, I think that's beautiful. I cry every time I listen to Helvegen because that's what I think of. Let's see. Ooh, we got some people talking about Florida. Oh man, we got more Florida people. All right, my work here is done. Go be Florida heathens. Get out there. Let's talk about runes. Sibo. So runes actually are coming up. So everything's come together. So for the longest time, runes and me were not friends. I had 2 sets of runes completely disappear, mysteriously always leaving 3 behind. But recently I received a custom main rune set as a gift, and actually one from the Oaks and Oaths, or Deck Breaker from Midsummer, the guy leading the music. He actually left some runes behind and said I could keep them. So I actually have a really cool plan about runes. Starting to learn more. I'm actually doing like a pretty intense rune ritual on Wednesday to attune my runes. So stay tuned for some runes. We're going to get talking about them. Are you still going to build a temple? So yes, I am starting to move away from the term temple. Temple is definitely outside. Outside will always be our temple. Nature will always be our temple. But I definitely I'm working on some cool stuff. It's cool stuff. I have a theory that when there's lightning and thunder, it's Thor clashing Mjolnir and slaying ice giants protecting Midgard. Yeah, I think so. I didn't see something for a while. I should have written it down or recorded it. That lightning is Loki and Thor is thunder. And that's them bickering. I don't know. Maybe it was just some BS I read, but it sounded kind of interesting. But I always saw thunder as a way for Thor is telling us his stories and his tales of triumph, and that when we scream back, we're telling him the same. That's the way I've always taken it. This chat's moving so quickly. Yeah, Texans. Oh, I don't know who said anything about Texas, but there's actually a lot of Texans. There's a lot of y'all out there. So definitely get connected with your Texas peep. What about the video you'll also play the lyre? So this was a wonderful gift from OC and the Jupiter. And he was like, I think it broke when he was recording it, and it's incredibly out of tune. And for the life of me, I cannot get this thing tuned. These things are almost like fused in here, so I can't twist them to get it tuned properly. And those are literally the only thing I can do. I've literally had vice grips on this thing, like twisting it, and cannot get it to tune properly. I do play the ukulele, so maybe I'll pull that bad boy out But I mean, it was awesome getting this as a gift from OC and the Jupiter when I interviewed Sean. He used this in his song Ymir, I believe, and he just gave it to me as a gift. So it'll definitely be a prop. But the braggy research was... The braggy video is going to be a lot of fun. It definitely begs some really big questions out of who Braggy is. Was he a god? Was he a man that elevated to godhood? Was he ever even real? Is it a name? Can't wait to talk about Braggy. All right, let me scroll up because so much happened. And if I never got to any of never get to any of your comments, I'm sorry. There's a lot of you in here. No, I love and respect all of you, and I wish I could respond to everyone. What modern music do you think Braggy would listen to? Wardruna, of course. I mean, I'm not wholly unconvinced that Einar Selvik isn't just Braggy, like reincarnated. Oh yeah, there's so many of you Texans in here. Let's see. Man, it just keeps going. It's never ending. There's just infinite. I thought Braggy was one of the brothers who created Mjolnir. No. Braggy is I don't think he's tied to the Mjolnir story. He's Idun's father, or not father, husband, and he's actually one of Odin's sons. Did not know that. We'll talk about Braggy more. Oh man. Hey Jake, I'm from the UK. You got me in touch with Zach a few months ago, and not. I'm part of the bigger gathering in December. I'm also starting a podcast with Fellow Pagans. Oh, awesome. I'm so happy to see more people are like getting out there and creating stuff. Oh man, there's just so many of you. Heavy Storms, yeah, Thor's cool. Huge fan of Skald and Dianheim. I will eventually make a music, like a video about music in general. Obviously Wardruna's in there. I just don't want to. I don't want to be basic about it. I want to dig into it and actually do more research, get people's stories. Like obviously, I know Wardruna, I know Skald, I know Highland, but I definitely want to dive into a lot of the smaller bands and really get into their stories and backstory and get some of their music on here so I can really present it really well for you. Let's see. Is reincarnation a thing in Norse mythology? Yes and no. That's a long thing. I have a 40-minute long video about that. It's my afterlife video actually touches on the reincarnation aspect, if there is one. It's a yes and a no to the reincarnation thing. Yeah. Someone answered the thing about Brock was the one. Yeah, so it sounds similar to Braggy. Why do so many people have a bad idea about Loki? Christianism maybe have an influence on that. Yes, Loki has a lot of bad things about him, mostly because of Christianity. The only 2 cents I'll say about Loki is I think there's a little bit of casualness to him in the world. I think we have a lot of people that worship Loki. I don't think it's not a bad thing, but I worry that certain people that played Loki within the Marvel universe have had a negative impact on the amount of people that worship him. He's very complicated, I'll give him that, but he's definitely, I think he's worshipped a little too casually, just a little bit. I think we can take Loki a little bit more seriously, in my opinion. But he's definitely not the devil. By no means is he just the devil. I've had people message me and they're like, how dare you even mention Loki? I'm like, he's not that bad. Like, I've talked to Loki before, but I have respect for Loki, but I never like go out of my way to like seek him out. There's enough chaos in my life, and Odin also has some chaos in him. Let's see. Yeah, this totally got off the rails of like the cosmology thing, but I feel like that, I really just wanted to make sure I brought that up because there's certain things I don't want to make full videos about because it's hard without any backing information. There's just really cool things within Norse mythos, and the fact that they even had ideas of like what the atmosphere was. Like they talk about a shield that protects Midgard from like the sun or something like that, and it's like they kind of knew about the atmosphere. Super dope. Let's see. Don't stress myself out. Pick a question and take your time to answer it. Yeah. No, I think it's like my eyeballs are trying to split. Yeah. Oh man, we're on Loki. Oh, the Loki people have come out. Loki is a guy who takes his jokes too far. Really? Yep, that's true. Ozone. That too. Yeah. Loki says all the things people want to say but don't have the courage to normally say them. Yeah. Yes. So one of my middle videos back in like December talked about Yggdrasil and its connection to the universe. And I stick by that. And that was actually one of the only cosmology videos I dove into. And definitely, I think Yggdrasil is the universe, really. And it's, again, is it just the solar system, or is it the whole galaxy? I don't, it could be the whole universe, but I think it's probably just the galaxy. I don't think we can even comprehend the galaxy we're in, let alone the fact that there are billions, I think just millions of other galaxies. We really just can't even comprehend that. Yes, for me, Floki is a perfect, dichotomy. Yeah. I think if you had only two options to look at Loki of who Loki is, he's not Tom Hiddleston. He's not Marvel. He is more likely close to Floki. Which I still love Floki, but yeah, no, he's definitely, chaos, born and takes jokes too far. Let's see. All right, cool. I think we're all caught up. I'm just gonna sip my tea then for a second. You all just talk. Look at this community happening. Look at all this community, all 98 of you. You don't even need me. That's the goal. Is that I eventually just retire, and you all don't even need me anymore. Hi, I'm Sonia. I literally just found you about an hour ago because I'm feeling to draw to this face. Please explain to me the ornament you are wearing on your wrist. Okay, yeah, so Sonia, this is an oath ring. This came from Descended from Odin's, where I got mine. You can find varieties of these online. I did like Descended from Odin's. It was affordable yet well made. It's made of pewter. So an oath ring is basically what we wear to symbolize the oaths that we take and the importance of oaths. Because I can literally I know all 4 oaths I have right now. 4 promises, 4 oaths. Literally, I never say I promise I'll do this, unless I will fight to the death to do it. So I only have 4 promises at this very moment, and 4 oaths. So yeah, really, this oath ring is just that symbol of true oath and understanding and and trust between us and the gods. It's one of those things that I don't think there's a day I haven't wore this. And same with my Mjolnir. It's the 2 things I always have on me. But so glad you found this channel and are feeling the call to the faith. Welcome to the first live stream. I would say Yggdrasil is either the universe or the solar system, but what makes you think it's the galaxy? Just because everything revolves around. Let me back that a little bit. I think if it's either the solar system or the galaxy, just because I don't think we can actually comprehend anything past that. I think it's ludicrous for us to try to comprehend anything outside the galaxy, because I don't care how many lifetimes you live, but it's 1,000 lifetimes, and we're still never going to really know what another galaxy looks like, really. Obviously from the outside, from telescopes, but what goes on there, we're never really going to know. So to me, I think in our ability to understand things, I think Yggdrasil would just be our galaxy. Let's see. In Loki's defense, the Aesir did lowball his kids, and for no reason we can discern from the existing lore. Yeah, the Poetic Edda and me have actually kind of fallen out lately. It's a great resource. There's great stories. But especially in my Bragi research, the only thing you found about Bragi is Loki calling him a coward 4 times in Lokasenna. And that's it. That's basically all you get from Bragi. So the Poetic Edda, certain things it's great for, the Havamal is great, the Voluspa is great, but far as the entire encompassing information on the faith, it's just not there. I'm thinking about making an offering bowl and want to carve bind runes. Thoughts? Why make a bind rune when there's a rune that just means gift? Gable. Just use that. I will talk about bind runes here shortly, but that's actually all I have inside my offering bowl is just Gabo, the X. Let's see. I'm glad you think it's a good argument. Thank you. Wow, they did Bragi dirty in the Poetic Edda. Yeah, no, they did. Now, I feel like I'm going to talk about the Bragi video too soon, but hey, it's in here. I pulled out 6 books to look up Bragi stuff, and I only found 3 things on the entire dude. So, it'll be an interesting video. Lots of discussion. Hold your heathen hammers high. Skull from the West Kentucky. Oh, Shane, have we talked before? Shane, if we haven't talked before, you should message me. I can't remember. Sorry if we have. There's a lot of people. But I can't remember if maybe I connected you to Michael, because Michael's out in Western Kentucky. Loki was kind of a bad guy. He killed the most beloved god Balder, and he betrayed the gods multiple times. Technically, he didn't kill Balder. I'm just joking. And that's the other thing. Like, well, and again, that kind of is the fault of the Poetic Edda, because we don't know why Loki and Odin have a blood oath that, if Loki, Odin will never drink unless Loki has a drink as well. So it's like we don't know what that original blood oath was, and we don't know the positive stories. And it's the same thing with Odin. Odin is kind of a dick in the Poetic Edda, so it's like it's hard to take the gods and face value from the Poetic Edda alone. Are you going to keep this up for people to watch afterwards? Yes, I am. I don't want this to run too long. I will probably cap this out at 60 minutes. I've seen some people that produce live streams, and they let them go for like 4 or 5 hours, and I just feel like that's inconsiderate to people that are going to watch it later. I'm having a great time. I'm loving answering these questions. I'm glad we had a little bit of a central theme that definitely got derailed, but we got to talk about it a little bit. But I want to be considerate of the people that, shoot. I looked up how many countries watch the Wisdom of Odin now, and it's ridiculous. I want to be considerate to everyone. Let's see. Talking about video games now, I see. Mm-hmm. I am doing well. Thank you very much. You mentioned in some of your videos that the gods aren't always there to speak to. How do we know if they're not present? No one's around. Really, you just know. Like, it's one of those things where if you're in a clear mind and you're in a good place, and you don't have a lot of distractions, and you don't feel the gods, they're just not there. We don't necessarily always connect to the gods. Sometimes we connect to the spirit. Sometimes we connect to just nature and to the energy of the folk. And you learn, and at least I've learned, and maybe this is universal, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me, but I have learned to determine the difference between if I know it's Thor, if I know it's Odin, if I know it's Frigg, if I know it's just the folk, or if it's the energy, and then I know if it's the difference, if it's a different presence. And that's what makes this faith so interesting, is it's not just one identity that I feel connected to, which is one of the reasons why, I can never go back to Christianity, because how could all of this unique power come from one being? Ridiculous. The thing about Loki, you resented him even when you were the most grateful, and you were grateful to him even when you hated him the most. Yeah, that's kind of it. Loki, I don't know if I ever talked about this publicly, but I had a dream very similar to the one I had, a dream/vision of Loki specifically. And I've had it of Odin and Frigg, where it was just like the most surreal, real vision dream ever. And Loki was in one of them, and I swear it's like he acted just like how Loki would. Like, we didn't recognize each other at first, and he was trying to like scam me out of something, and then I realized it was Loki, and I was like, "Do you know who I am?" And he was like, "No," and I was just like, and I think it was right after I did like a blood ritual, and I like held up my hand. I was like, "I am the Wisdom of Odin. I have brought together the folk. I worship Odin, the Allfather," and he was like, I don't know. It was like, maybe it was just a dream, but I felt like I encountered Loki there, and it was a very Loki dream. I don't call Loki God. I call him the relatable one. Yeah, that's fair. Ragnarok would happen no matter what the Aesir did. Yeah, and I think that Ragnarok is a very important lesson, especially in the own mortality of our lives. We're all going to die one day. No matter how much of our time we devote to trying to find the answers, we are all going to die. And the sooner we accept that, the gods accepted that, even though Odin didn't. So, I don't know. There's a lot to be learned there. Have you ever tried another belief besides Christianity in your childhood, or was it immediately the true belief? So I talk about this a little in any of the interviews I've done over the year. Gosh, it feels like years. So I left Christianity, and again, I was never baptized. I was just in church. Went to college, and I think I was in this weird atheist phase for a while, and then I found Buddhism, and I practiced Theravada Buddhism specifically. I got into like Teaism for a while, which isn't really religion per se. It is a little bit. Teaism is really interesting. And then I found the Norse gods, is how I found them. Let's see. You said the Norse gods aren't the only ones you think exist. Can you talk more about the factors into your cosmological understanding? Ooh, I don't know if I can hit that all in one go. That's a multiple beer conversation. So I think, I don't want to get myself in hot water here, but I do think there's correlations between deities. I do think that if we invoke certain gods here in the north, that we may be worshiping the same entity that others worship, even though they call them different names. And we do learn that from Odin and having multiple names. And so, some people might call Thor, was it Thunar? Some people call him Thor. But at the end of the day, we're all worshiping thunder. So if someone in, I don't know if India, I don't know anything about Indian Hinduism, but I don't know if they have a god of thunder. But I feel like if they're worshiping a god of thunder and we're worshiping the god of thunder, aren't we kind of worshiping the same thing? But I don't know. It's all those things I don't really have answers for. But I definitely feel like there are certain elements we do tie ourselves to. And thunder is a really good one because it's very noticeable and it's very easy to connect to. And I don't know if that's a universal experience or if there's two gods floating up there. I don't know. It's a really deep question. All I know is that I feel connected to thunder when I drink with it. And I call it Thor. Does anyone else feel the power of Thor in the when it thunders? Oh yeah, all the time, my dude. Did Ragnar Lothbrok become a god? So that's an interesting question. Did Ragnar Rothbrook become a god? That kind of ties into the Bragi thing a little bit because we're not sure if Bragi was a god himself or if he was just a really good skald, so much that he actually became like divine. I definitely, there is ancestor veneration. So if when we give power to Ragnar Lothbrok as a name, maybe we can connect to him. But that's definitely into like deep waters, and I don't think is like easy to really describe. I don't know if you call to Ragnar Lothbrok and you give an offering if you're really going to connect with him. Not to mention, we don't exactly know if he was just one dude. Could have been multiple dudes. Could have never existed. How do you reconcile Norse paganism with modern science? We kind of touched on that a little bit with the cosmology thing, because there is a lot of things that cross over. So with science and Norse paganism, don't take the poetic edit at face value. No one should. If you actually go out and experience nature and understand nature, and I know so many people that are biologists and forestry people that are into the Norse gods, and it's because they know so much about science. And then when you see the cycles for yourself, you feel connected. So yeah, I feel like science and North and paganism in general connect very well. Really, the only faith that doesn't connect well with science is Christianity. What do you think about those that don't believe in the gods as literal beings but still feel called to them and their stories and what they mean to teach? Okay, so there is definitely a split in the community. I don't know how many are on one side or the other. But some people believe the gods are as an idea, and then some people believe the gods are individual beings themselves. So, like, for instance, like wisdom and Odin, for example. So, if you connect to Odin, you're connecting to yourself, and you're connecting to the wisdom within yourself. And by studying Odin, you're technically just furthering yourself, and Odin is an idea more than a physical being. But the reason I think that the gods are actual individual beings, or at least entities, is because of the interactions I've had with them. So with like Odin in particular, he's definitely given me challenges, and I feel like those are really complicated just to make up to further your own self. So I think that the gods are real, and I think our own experiences really, really show that they are individual beings that we connect to. Wow, there's 112 of you in here. Whew. That's amazing. It's great to see you all. I'm so glad I did this, though. It's so good. It's so good. We have, again, I'm going to cap this at 60 minutes just for the first go around. So, we're just going to continue this conversation and have a good time. A few just minor notes. One, the podcast came out today. If you haven't heard that yet, the folk podcast started. You can find it on Podbean right now at the moment, but it will eventually be on Spotify and iTunes once I get everything approved. We're going to be doing that one episode a week. If you would like to be on it, it is I'll put it in here again, the folk podcast at gmail.com. If you are interested in being on the show, and if you have any questions. So I feel like a lot of the things we're going to have are answering the community questions. So please email us. We'll go through those every week and hopefully have a really amazing podcast that just keeps going. I know it's something that people have been asking for a really long time. Two, I hate to say it, but, full-time YouTubing, Patreon is how I'm going to survive. So for anyone that supports me there already, thank you so much. And for anyone that continues to do it, you're helping me make videos, 3 videos a week now. You're helping me make a podcast, and you're allowing me to do some pretty amazing things for this community. So I'm forever in the debt of Patreon and whoever wishes to join. Let's see. Number 3 is, y'all, there's some amazing things coming. Y'all ain't ready for the things that are about to come down on the Wisdom of Odin in the next couple months. Oh. Whew. All right, back to questions. Thanks again, brother. It's almost 2 a.m. over here in Germany. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Go to bed. Thank you so much for staying up late. We'll talk later in my Norse Pagan journey. It was great talking to you. Everyone check out his YouTube. My Norse Pagan journey is on YouTube. What is your favorite thing about Norse paganism? Come on. It's the folk. Everyone knows it's the folk. There's nothing better than, getting people together, drinking to the old gods, and, just creating, building frith, if that's what you want to call it, or just building community. It's amazing. I speak English, not Southern. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but the Wisdom of Odin started in Kentucky. I'm from Ohio, though. What am I even talking about? Nice Foghorn Leghorn impression. Thank you very much. Let's see. Have you heard about the Patreon lawsuit? Is that the one in California? I think so. I think that went through. Patreon definitely scares me, and I'm making preparations. I can't talk about that yet. There are things in the works. Basically, the people, I don't work alone. There's people that everyone doesn't really know about. That we're all kind of working behind the scenes, getting things ready for some really amazing things. And one of the things that we're trying to prepare ourselves for is the fear of Patreon going down, or the fear of YouTube, no longer letting our videos be here. We're trying to be prepared for those things because it's something that could happen. So we're definitely keeping that in mind. Let's see. It's 1:49 in Sweden, and I have school, so I have to get up at 7. But anything for the folk, skull to that. Thank you for staying up this late, the Norse faith. Gotta be like Batman, prepare for anything and everything. Utility belt, baby. Almost dropped some wind there. I love dropping wind. From Joey, how can I regain my connection to the gods if my spirit feels dead? Nature, 100%. If you don't feel safe, don't do it. But I think you should go out into nature alone, go under a waterfall, and just let it smack you in the face, and then just scream the gods' names, and you'll get back in there. Nature is the ultimate reconnector. I know it's hard sometimes, and I know not everyone is able, depending on where they live, but nature is worth the journey no matter how far we have to take, because nature is where our gods are. Always have teases. Can you give us any insights into the upcoming news? No. All I can say is everyone's patience and the putting up with my teases, that's a big spider, are going to be paid off in very hefty here in a little bit. Don't worry, it's coming. All I can say is by the end of the year, I'm going to have some amazing news for you. So stay tuned, and I'll let you know as soon as I can talk about it. Where can I find the podcast? So right now, the podcast is on Podbean. Let me see if I can sneak in here and put it on here. Oh yeah, I think I got this. Boom, Podbean. So that's where our podcast is right now. I've submitted everything for it to go into to Spotify and to iTunes, and I'm sure I'll get everyone else, but everyone has different things you have to do to get into them. But that's where it'll be for right now. Hopefully by the end of the week, it'll be in Spotify and iTunes. Norse gods and Greek gods both come from independent religions, so they are more of representations of the same beings. So one thing I found interesting, I'm not disagreeing, I think it makes sense. Zeus and Thor are very similar, but is Zeus just Thor and Odin put together? But I read a book. This book was written in 1850, and it was about the Norse gods. And it was talking about the relationship between the Norse and the Greek pantheons. And one of the things I found interesting was the Greek pantheon grew up in a world of wine, warmth, and seas, and warm seas. the Norse gods, were birthed into an era of cold, harsh, mountainous, barren terrain where it was cold and even the oceans were cold, and all you had to eat were like roots, meat, and mead. And it's like, and that's why the Norse gods are the way they are. I'm like, hoorah. Like, oh, it's got me pumped. Like, that's, yeah. Do deer mean anything in Norse paganism? I mean, technically elk would, I think. I wonder if you could show me your my tattoos. I mean, yeah, there's 2 of them. That was my first one. This was my hand poke from at Ostara. That was my 3rd one, and then my 2nd one was my oath to Odin on my chest. Voila. I do plan on getting this entire arm sleeved up at some point. But the tattoos really have to speak to me. Let's see. Do you ever feel a connection to Freya? Did you ever give her offering planning to? So Freya, I have never felt called to, actually. The first female deity I actually felt called to was Frigg, especially after the vision I had of her. And I have given several offerings to Frigg. I've been trying to get closer to Scotty a little bit, and Freya eventually. I mean, it's just one of those things I haven't felt called to. And I'm sure I'll make a video the moment I do. But I know Braggy is the next one I really want to start diving into. I have a lifetime to explore these gods and explore these relationships. So I'm not trying to rush them. But definitely, Freya is definitely on the list of gods to try to grow closer to. Do you think the Norse gods connect and speak with the Greek gods? And do you they speak about Ragnarok? No. I don't think the Norse gods and the Greek gods necessarily. I don't think it's that kind of relationship that the gods actually have. I don't think they're all just like floating on their clouds and they're like, "Hey, what about the end of the world, dog?" And they're like, "I don't know. It's kind of weird." I don't think that's how they work. But I don't think in Ragnarok is a whole own thing too. I have a whole video on Ragnarok. It has all my thoughts on it. So, it's Ragnarok. How do you think about village made? How do you think about village made by us that we can live in and come to pray and find refuge? So I think the village idea is a wonderful idea. We have to be very careful of the cult aspect, and I've mentioned it before. I think it was in the first community questions thing is the idea of a village. I think a village is just dangerous waters. I think we can have elements of it, and I think we can have blacksmiths and have a little community growing. But as far as like having people and their families living sustainably off the land, I think it's a great dream. But I think it's a very hard dream to realize, especially here in North America, because of the stigma around it. Do you worship Hel? Many of us won't have a warrior's death, so we would probably go to her realm. So again, my thoughts on death are all in my afterlife video. I don't think it's just Hell and Valhalla. I think there are multiple afterlives, and it depends on which gods you worship. Personally, is how I've experienced it, and not to mention there are listed like 6 or 7 afterlives. But as far as getting close to Hell, we actually talk about that in the podcast today, so I would recommend checking that out. The co-host Ian actually worships Hell, so he actually has some really good insights into worshiping her. I've never personally connected to Hell. You should read that's talking to someone else. You guys are just, again, you don't need me. You have each other. You have the folk. Spain has many empty villages and Odinism is legal. Well, technically it's not illegal here. They're just empty villages? That's wild. And you're in Spain. If you're in Spain, make sure you follow Raul or watch my Spanish video I did. And follow Raul. I mean, he lives in Spain as a Norse pagan. He's looking for other people all the time. Have you had interactions with Tyr? I ask for obvious reasons, says the man of Tyr. So I have done one Tyr offering. It was in my honors and reputation video. I feel like me and Tyr, I don't feel like I'm ready for Tyr, is the best way to put it. I think what I want to do him the honor and respect of that when I actually do want to connect with him. I want to give it my all, and I can't do that right now. I'm too focused on what I'm doing with Odin. I'm really focusing on the Vanir and Freyr, especially Freyr lately. Actually, Freyr is the god I'm trying to get connected to the most at the moment. What do you think about Der Ring des Nibelungen? I don't actually know what that is. Is that Spanish? Can a non-warrior enter Valhalla? I can't touch on all that in one video. Again, I have an afterlife video. I think it's one of the best research videos I've ever done. So I want people to go watch it. It's a very popular video too, so I'm honored. But I really do touch on that really heavy topic within my my afterlife video. I spoke to Raul from Argentina. He was very kind. You should give him a follow. Yeah, Raul is a great guy. I'm glad you talked to him. He's actually in our Discord too. He stayed up for like 12. He was up at like 3 in the morning just to join us in a drinking chat we have on Friday nights. Amazing. How about a country of our own? That would be awesome. A heathen country. Don't know how we'd go about doing that. I don't know how we go about like just getting land and being like, we are our own country now. It'd be cool though. Does the ad revenue pay well? On as far as like YouTube or as far as like podcast? I'm not sure. Ad revenue usually pays poorly though. What does your family think about you being a Norse pagan? Literally everyone besides my mom and my grandma's know. So for the most part, everyone's very accepting of it, especially now that I'm doing this. I think it's very clear that I'm very passionate about it. It's not just a phase. And I think a lot of parents and family members go through that as like, oh, he's just going through a phase. Total side note, though, one of the weirdest things is being a single dude and like in a city full of non-Norse pagans and like going out on dates and just like meeting up with people. And you're like, should I tell them? I feel like I have to tell them because it's literally my life. So that's been an interesting aspect of my life. Is it best to wait and give an offering to a god when you feel they are present, or should you give them offerings sometimes if you don't feel their presence? It's a good question. So thank you, Stephen. I have given offerings where it's like, hey, I don't feel Odin, but I want to feel him. So, hey, Odin, here's this mead. I want to hear from you. I need your guidance. I need your wisdom. And then he kind of chuckles, and I'm like, why did you just chuckle at me? And then he smacks me in the face with some like really hard challenge, and I have to do it. So it's one of the, yeah, I definitely think that, you know, even if you don't feel the gods in that moment, I think when you feel the gods, it is definitely a time to connect. But if you're seeking them out, definitely giving an offering is a good way to call for that. So yeah, we are past the 60-minute mark. I could do this all day. So I think it's time to start wrapping this up. Oh my gosh, there's 133 of you in here, plus a lot more, I think. So just give you a quick vision of what's coming up in the next week or so. So obviously today we did the YouTube live stream. Thank you everyone for being here. It's amazing. I can't believe the community we're starting to build. It is just... Who is that one motherfucker? Okay. That one guy that dislikes all my videos. I will find you. So, yeah, thank you all so much for being here. It's amazing to see this community grow and form the way it does. I do want to say the next week, tomorrow, I have a really cool announcement. So look for that tomorrow. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time is my video tomorrow. And we'll return to the 3 videos a week starting this week. Wednesday, I have an offering to the land spirits or the spirits coming up. And then, is Wagner's opera. It's about... Don't think I have any opinion on that, on the Siegfried and the Valkyries. I can look into it and try to get an opinion about it. I know very little. Sorry that took me so long to answer. I didn't know what you were talking about. You cheeky bastards. I know. I see what you've done. But yeah, next week we're gonna do the big announcement tomorrow, which will actually lead to a live or a YouTube premiere the following week, and then Wednesday the offering to the spirits. Friday is the bragging video, and then I have a whole week to shoot videos, so I'm pretty excited for where this is going. If you are the person who heard me complain about the dislike and then disliked it, then undisliked it, you're cheeky. I love you. Oh yeah, whoever just said the episode 2 of the podcast. Oh yeah, sure, you're on the podcast. But yeah, next week we'll talk about the podcast more. So once again, email the podcast. We'll get you on the show. We'll answer your questions. Yeah, I'm glad everyone's loved the stream. I'm glad everyone's here. But folk, I'm going to go ahead and end this. That way it just doesn't get too long. I could spend all day talking to you, but I have to go make videos and do really cool and amazing things I can't wait to talk about. But folk, until the next time, until the hall, skull to you, and thank you for being on the live stream. Good night, everybody.